Let's get these positioned right with our phone number floated to the right and our menu floated to the left. Again, we're going to use floating so that they stay right and left aligned as the browser gets smaller. Let's play with this in the browser a little bit. So I'm going to inspect this element and I'll select the container nav. And what I'll do is float this to the left. And then for our phone number, I'm going to float this to the right. And we see some funky wrapping going on. Let's fix that by setting the overflow on our container to auto. And that actually looks pretty much aligned with what we have in our mockup. Now, as I shift between these two, I see that we have a border to the top that separates the heading top from heading bottom. So let's make sure to add that. But before we do, let's make these styles permanent. So let's begin with our container here and let's add overflow auto to site header bottom. So I'm going to jump back to our styles. Here's our bottom and we'll do overflow auto. And then let's adjust our nav to float left. So here's our nav. We'll add float left. And then for our phone number, we're going to float it right. Here's our phone. And we'll add float right. We'll save this and refresh in the browser. Now let's add that border that we saw in our mockup. So now it seems like we should be able to add this to the top or to the bottom, but ultimately only the bottom stretches all the way across. So we'll need to add the border to it. So I'm going to scroll up in our site header partial and let's add that border. We'll start with the 1pix solid. And now let's take a look at our color palette. And we probably want to use the same color that we used for the border on our form to give it visual consistency with the border down here. So let's try that first. I'm going to do a search for our search form. And the border color that we're using is medium gray. So let's add that here, medium gray. Save that and refresh in the browser. Okay, so that gives us a border. It looks a little more dramatic in our mockup because the background color is a little bit different. But I'm going to make a call with the intent of the design that the visual consistency is the most important. And so let's stick to using the same color here that we used for the borders up here.